So let's see about ribs. So these are the bones which are forming the thoracic cage. So total there are about 12 pairs of ribs. In between that there are 11 intercostal spaces. In the intercostal spaces there are intercostal muscles also. So how are these ribs? They are C-shaped bones having a posterior attachment and anterior attachment. Posteriorly they are attached to the vertebrae, and anteriorly they are either attached to the sternum or they are attached to the costal cartilage, or they are attached to the they don't have any anterior attachment. And one more thing you need to know about this ribs is the length of the rib is increasing from first to seventh rib, then afterwards this length will be decreasing. Then coming to the classification of the ribs based on their attachment. One thing is true or false ribs. So this is one classification that is based on their attachment. Either they are attached to the sternum or not. So true ribs will have posteriorly they are attached to the vertebrae, and anteriorly they are attached to the sternum through directly to the sternum by a cartilage. Then false ribs. So what are these true ribs? From first to seventh rib they are attached to the sternum, and false ribs they are attached posteriorly to the vertebrae, whereas anteriorly they don't have any attachment to the sternum but they are attached along the costal cartilage. Then next classification is based on their anterior and posterior attachment. One thing is vertebrosternal. So before that, what are the false ribs? 8th to 12th are the false ribs. Then based on their attachment, vertebrosternal. So what are this vertebrosternal? Same thing. True ribs are also called vertebrosternal because they are having posteriorly attached to the vertebrae and anteriorly they are attached to the sternum. They are first to seventh rib. Then vertebrochondral. So what is this vertebrochondral? They are anteriorly having attachment to the costal cartilage. They don't have any attachment to the sternum. So what are they? They are from 8th, 9th and 10th. So 8th to 10th ribs are vertebrochondral. Then the third one is vertebral. So they don't have any anterior attachment, so they are also called floating ribs. So what are the floating ribs? They are 11th and the 12th rib. Now classification is typical and atypical ribs. So typical ribs, they all have a common features, whereas atypical ribs they have some specific identifying features. So typical ribs are 3rd to 9th ribs, whereas atypical ribs 1st, 2nd, 10th, 11th and 12th ribs. So apart from that, sometimes they may have a rib which is coming from the cervical vertebrae, so these are called the cervical ribs, and sometimes there may be a rib which is coming from the lumbar vertebrae, so they are called lumbar ribs. So we'll be seeing about this osteology of this typical ribs and osteology of the atypical rib, that is the specifically first rib which is most commonly asked. So out of the 12 pairs of ribs, there are typical ribs from 3rd to the 9th rib. So how do you identify a typical rib? It's having two ends, posterior end which is somewhat narrow, and it has two facets, articular facets in the posterior end, and an anterior end which is somewhat widened and it has a concave articular facet. Then these ribs are having two ends, posterior end anterior end of the sternal end, posterior end of the vertebral end. In between those two, this is the intervening shaft. Again, this shaft is having a inner surface, outer surface which is convex, inner surface is concave, and it's having an upper border which is rounded and a lower border which is sharp. And coming to the determination of this side. So how to determine the side of a vertebra is, you see for the posterior end and the anterior end and look for the surfaces. So see that the convex is facing outwards, and if you're catching like this also, the convexity is outwards, but at that time you see for the inferior border is sharp. So if you hold like this is the correct thing. So based on those features, posterior end, anterior end, this convex outer surface which is facing outwards, so this is a typical right side rib. And coming to the features of it, first we'll see the posterior end. This is also called the vertebral end. It's having two facets which will be helping in attaching this to the vertebrae. So here you can see it's having two things. One is inferior articular facet, one more thing, the superior articular facet, and in between that there is a ridge. The inferior articular facet attaches with the corresponding vertebrae, and the superior articular facet attaches to the vertebrae which is above this. Suppose if this is 7th rib, so this inferior articular facet will articulate with the 7th vertebrae, and the superior articular facet will articulate with the 6th vertebrae. In between, this ridge will be present in the intervertebral disc. So this is the posterior end which is helping in attaching the ribs to the vertebrae, and followed by this constricted part is called the neck, and after that this part which you are seeing in the outer surface of the rib, this is the tubercle. In this tubercle, there you will be seeing, if I turn this, rounded or smooth facet. This facet is for attachment of the rib to the transverse process. So this neck is related with the transverse process, whereas this tubercle is related with the attachment of the tip of the transverse process with the rib. This facet is present in the tubercle. Then somewhat lateral to that there is a rough end part. This is a non-articular part which is related with the attachment of the ligaments. So head is having two facets which are attached to the body of the vertebrae. Neck is related with the transverse process, followed by tubercle. Tubercle is nothing but, this is a point where this neck is joining with the shaft. So this tubercle is again having smooth articular part, and laterally non-articular part which is rough. The smooth articular part is related with the attachment of the tip of the transverse process of the corresponding vertebrae. And if you see this neck region, you can see superiorly, it's having upper border, lower border, posterior surface, and the anterior surface. Then coming to the anterior end is somewhat concave facet which will be attached to the costal cartilage, which will be attached to the sternum through a costal cartilage. Then shaft. How is the shaft? This is somewhat C-shaped, and this actually, if you hold this in anatomical position, the posterior end will be somewhat at higher level compared to the anterior end. So there is inclination in the attachments, or you can say this rib is somewhat inclined anteriorly. Then coming to the shaft is having two surfaces and two borders. This is the outer surface, inner surface, upper border and a lower border. So peculiarity difference between the upper border and lower borders: upper border is rounded and the lower border is sharp. And surfaces: outer surface is convex, inner surface is concave. And if you see this inner surface, here you can appreciate a groove. This is called the costal groove. This costal groove is having two borders, upper border and the lower border. Lower border is nothing but the sharp inferior border of the rib itself. So this is a costal groove, this is upper border of the costal groove, this is the lower border of the costal groove. And outer surface, this is convex shape and it has an angle here. So if you see this angle is the place where there is change in direction of the rib. So till this point the direction of the rib is one thing, and after the angle the direction of the rib is changed in a different orientation. So this is the angle. And if you see the upper border will be rounded, or you can say it's somewhat different from the lower part. Upper border will be having, again you can describe it as outer lip and inner lip. So outer lip is giving attachment to external intercostal margin. One is intercostal, one of the muscle present in the intercostal space. Inner lip will give attachment to internal intercostal muscle and intercostalis intimus. This is outer lip, this is inner lip. This part, this will be the inner and this will be outer. Just you can say without there is no much demarcation, but you remember the attachments. Outer lip is for external intercostal, inner lip is for intercostal, internal intercostal and intercostalis intimus. So this is your upper border. Lower border, if you see, lower border is sharp, and this lower border is for origin of external intercostal muscle, the sharp inferior border, or you can say lower border. So this is a point through which, using which you can determine this side. If you see, if I keep this and say this is a left rib, no, how you can say it's wrong? Because this sharp border should be facing downwards. So this is the correct thing. And coming to the inner surface, what's in this inner surface? Inner surface is, how is the shape of this inner surface? Inner surface is somewhat concave and it's having a posteriorly in the inner surface you can see prominently a groove. This groove is called the costal groove. This will be having a upper border and a lower border. Lower border is nothing but the lower border of the rib itself. So what is present in this costal groove? So in the costal groove we have three things from above downwards, like this. From above downwards in the costal groove we have VAN, V for vein, A for artery and N for nerve. So what are those three things? Intercostal vein, intercostal artery and intercostal nerve. These three structures will be going along this costal groove above downwards. That is the sequence. VAN, V for intercostal vein, A for intercostal artery and N for intercostal nerve. And other attachments for this, as we have seen just now, this lower margin of this costal groove is giving origin of external intercostal muscle. The floor of the groove is giving origin for internal intercostal muscle, and this other border of this subcostal groove Other border of this costal groove is giving origin for intercostal eccentricity. So this is a first rib. It's having two ends, two borders and two surfaces. Two ends is posterior end, which is rounded and somewhat thin, anterior end, which is broad and thick, inner border, which is concave, outer border, which is convex, and you can see the upper surface, which is having some ridges, and lower surface, which is somewhat smooth. So based on these features, we can say this is a first strip of the left side. So coming to the features, posterior end or the sternal end is having a single rounded articular facet which attaches to the first vertebrae. Anterior end, which is somewhat thick and broad, is having a facet for attachment to the sternum. Then after that, this is the head, this is the neck, and this is the tubercle, which is parallel with the angle. So angle and tubercle are at one point in case of first rib. Then inner border is having a tubercle in the middle part. This is called the scalene tubercle, which gives attachment to scalenus anterior muscle, and apart from that, it's giving attachment to Simpson's fascia. Outer margin is, how is it? Outer border is convex, inner border is concave. Outer border, in the middle part of this outer border, it gives attachment to this first digitations of the serratus anterior muscle. Inner border is giving attachment to scalenus anterior. Outer border is giving attachment to serratus anterior muscle. Then the surfaces. Upper surface will have a ridge which is extending from the scalene tubercle, and anterior to the ridge and posterior to the ridge there are some grooves. So in this groove, this is one groove anteriorly, and there will be one more groove posteriorly. So this is where you have attachment of scalenus anterior. Anterior to this groove is formed by subclavian vein. Posterior to that, this groove is for subclavian artery and the lower trunk of the brachial plexus. And behind this groove, in between this groove for subclavian artery and this part, tubercle, in this area you have attachment of scalenus medius muscle. Anterior to this groove for subclavian vein, here you have attachment for muscle between this clavicle and the first rib. What is that? That is subclavius muscle, and you have one more attachment, that is costoclavicular ligament. So what are the attachments along the upper surface? Posteriorly, that is scalenus medius. Anteriorly, subclavius muscle and costoclavicular ligament, and some fibers of scalenus anterior along this ridge. And other relations, subclavian vein is anterior to the ridge, subclavian artery with lower trunk of brachial plexus is in the posterior groove. Margins, inner border is giving attachment in the middle for scalenus anterior. Outer border is giving attachment to serratus anterior muscle. Then if you see the inner surface, this is smooth and it doesn't have any groove, something like the costal groove you have, which you can see in the other ribs. So this is smoother, and this is related with the pleura. In this, coming to the neck region of the first rib, anteriorly it's related with four structures, starting from the medial to lateral. Medialmost structure is sympathetic chain. Then we are having the first posterior intercostal vein, followed by the superior intercostal artery, followed by the ventral ramus of the first T1 spinal nerve. So these are related anterior to the neck of the first rib. So first rib is a atypical rib. So it doesn't have something like other typical ribs which has a